Make sure my focus is good. But it seems as if we are live. Chat, what's going on? Welcome, 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 everybody. Let me get myself focused and then we will get started. Today, as I mentioned before, Tuesdays and Thursdays, what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start breaking down film, answering questions, essentially what I do for, in some ways, for the families that I work with personally inside the varsity performance system. I'm going to do that here on these live streams. So we are live currently. I want to say we're on YouTube at the bottom. We're on Instagram, of course. We are on, not on LinkedIn today, we're on Kick, Twitch. We are on X, not on TikTok yet because I don't have the follower count to go live on TikTok yet, which will happen soon. And then I want to say Facebook as well. So I want to say like 6 or 7 places we're live. 6, 7. I can't believe I just said that. But anyways, we are good to go. I'm going to pull up some film that I want to go over. I know the chat is going to be picking up soon, and you all are going to be sharing exactly what it is you want to go over. So if you want to go over film specifically, I'm happy to break down some film. If you want to go over, if you're a parent or if you're a player who's going through some stuff, remember last week when I was on live, there was a player who, I don't think this was last week, this might have been, what day is it? It's Tuesday. It was last week. I was going live, and there was a player who wanted to talk about prepping for their game. I think it was like Saturday I went live or something, Saturday or Friday. It was a player who wanted to prep for their game, a player who wanted to break some things down to understand how to attack the coverages that they were going to face live. So I'm going to pull up some film in just a bit. And we'll go ahead and do that. Also, this Thursday, I'm going to be going live with Katino Mobley. Katino is a former NBA player. I want to say Katino played 10 years in the league from 98 to, I want to say 2008, 2009 was his last season in the league. He had a great career, had a really, really great career. And now he works as a life coach, and he does some really cool stuff. He's somebody I respect. He's somebody I've seen his content. It's really dope what he does, and he does a great job of really, I guess, inspiring the youth, inspiring young people, and he's a great OG. So I look forward to sitting down with Katino on Thursday. Let me pull his profile up, actually. Katino's life. Let me X out of this so I can see the chat too. Where are we at? Let's do this. All right, cool. We're all set. Chat's up and live. We're good. So what I was saying about Katino, let me switch my screen so y'all can see what I see. Yeah, so Katino played for a minute in the league, and he had a really great career, as I was mentioning before. And he does a lot of things with young people now in terms of just really talking to the next generation, inspiring them, helping them understand how to play the game the right way. And at the end of Katino's career, he actually had heart disease. Where's the Zoe jersey? The Zoe jersey, dude, I actually have it on my wall right outside the office. T says I have it on my wall right outside the office. I have a hall full of jerseys right outside my office. I have my dad, Dwayne, T-Mac, Joe Montana, Bill Russell, all signed jerseys. And I got these two on the wall behind me because they look pretty. And I have a picture of my dad here. Bobblehead of my dad behind me as well, so he's well represented. But what I was saying about Katino specifically, man, he does a lot of dope stuff. He has a great voice in the space. I really like his content. I really like what he's building, what he's doing, and how he speaks and how he inspires. So he's somebody I look forward to sitting down with on Thursday. So I'll be live with him across all platforms: TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Kick, Instagram, LinkedIn, you name it. I'm going to be having some great conversations there. Also, if you haven't checked these out already, go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. On YouTube, I did 3 interviews last week. I sat down. I don't like calling them interviews. They're really just conversations, to be quite honest with you. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of OGs and personal relationships where I can sit down with Antoine Walker and Darius Miles and Quentin Richardson, and I'm able to talk to them about the game. I'm able to talk to them about basketball and the decisions they've made and what they've learned. I actually posted a post on LinkedIn about this today. But Antoine specifically, Antoine earned, I want to say, $130 million during his playing career. And in 2008, he made a lot of investments in real estate. And in 2008, after the financial crisis, or during the financial crisis, he filed for bankruptcy. And he didn't necessarily know how to spend well. And this is something that a lot of people don't know how to do, to be quite honest with you. So this is not me knocking him at all. Since then, he's worked with Morgan Stanley. He's done some really, really great work. I want to say he worked with Morgan Stanley for about 5 years. And now he works in tandem with the NBA Players Union, and he speaks to the players there and gives them advice as to how to use their money, how to spend their money, how to invest their money, especially when you're coming in to the league. There's a lot of different things you can do to be setting up a foundation to prepare yourself for, the cash that, God willing, will come in later on. Like Antoine was fortunate enough to be able to sign another contract. So we signed another contract. I think his first contract, he said this, his first contract was $5.5 million. After he signed the contract for $5.5 million, the first year he got 1.6 of it. Half of it goes to taxes. He was playing in Massachusetts, so there's state tax there as well. And about half of it went to taxes. He had $800,000 in the bank, let's say, not hypothetically, let's say that's the number. And he bought his mom a $500 house, and then he bought himself a $300 house. And then in addition to that, I want to say he's one of six. He's the oldest of six. He took all of his brothers and sisters out of their situation. They were in public school, and he put them in private school. So he started off his NBA career in debt, right? And a lot of people think you get to the NBA level and then the switch flips and like a lot of great things happen. Yes, a lot of great things happen. That being said, you still got to manage your money wisely. You see Shaq talking about these same exact stories in terms of like how he blew a bag and how he spent $1 million in a day, not knowing that $1 million is taxed and you have to pay taxes on that and all these different things. So that's that. Let's get into it though. Some things that I want to go over. I wanted to go over some Shea film, and when you watch film, I don't like watching highlight reels necessarily. I think highlight reels don't necessarily show, I know they don't show the whole flow of the game. They don't show from start to finish what the player was thinking, the reads they made, the decisions they made, why they made the decisions, time and score. Sometimes you could see that, but not all the time you could see that. And that's why watching a full game is fantastic. Anytime I watch film, by the way, you'll never watch an NBA film breakdown that has the sound on. If you walk into an NBA locker room and it's a film room and you're in the film room, and it's time to watch film, you're not gonna watch it with the sound on. Me personally, I like changing the speed as well, and I like making it 0.75 just to be able to slow down and make some of the reads differently. So this is, I want to say this is just a drag screen. So this is standard transition basketball, right? So in the NBA, I actually went over this on a film breakdown yesterday. That film breakdown was fire. Like, I'm not gonna hold you. It was pretty fire. I was really excited with like how everything went. And what we ended up doing, we did a film breakdown with so many film breakdowns I've done. If you haven't checked these out, check these out. The most recent I did, I want to say, it was one of these. It was either how to read transition defense like a pro guard. I think it was this one. And then there was another one, how to read transition defense like a pro guard part 2. I just stayed on for like another 30 minutes, and then I went back on stream again. And then I did another breakdown for an hour, the genius behind the varsity huddle, which is the call that we do. Broke down more film, talked about some more things. But one of these, there's certain reads that you're going to make in transition. So let's say you're the guard. Let's say you're the guard, bring the ball up in transition. Your first look is going to be the guy in the same side corner. Pretty standard. The way I broke it down to my players, this is your first read. The shortest distance between two places is a straight line. And also this is the closest side of the court that you're on. You could hypothetically throw the ball ahead to the center if he makes a rim run and beats his guy down the court. But traditionally what you're going to see is you're going to see a pass to this guy over here in the corner, right? This is your first option here in transition. The next one is the big running to the rim if he has it. If the big is trailing and he doesn't have it, you're going to get into a drag screen. You also have, so you got 1 here, you got 2 here, you got 3, which is the opposite corner run. And then chances are you're going to have another, like the 4 and the 5 are going to be the last 2 ones down the court. So your 2 is going to be up here. If this is the 1, your 2 is going to be here. Your 5 on the rim run, you could hit him potentially if he does get in front of you. It's not all the time, but sometimes he'll get in front of you. Your 3 is going to be in the opposite corner. So this is the read that you're going to have there. Shea is technically playing the 3 right now. And then you have your, what was the option? You either go yourself. This is what I said. You either go yourself. You got 1, 2, 3. You go yourself. That's 4. Or you play the drag screen right here or a pitch back to the big. Let's say hypothetically speaking, there was no rim run and there's just the drag right here. So you got 1, 2, 3. You go yourself, 4. I would even go myself before I even passes this guy. So it's 3, 4. And then the 5th option is going to be the drag screen. You get into the drag right here. What ends up happening, he's playing against Herter. I don't know how good of a defender Herter is. I think I may be just picking on Herter because he's a shooter. And not every shooter can play defense. And I don't really know Herter's game like that. I know he can shoot the ball extremely well, but he could shoot the ball extremely well. But in a situation like this, what I'm looking at is so anyways, I kind of lost my train of thought. I checked my phone and I saw Boca Juniors is losing right now, 1-0 in like the 10th minute, which is absolutely nuts. It's a soccer thing, but neither here nor there. Let's focus on basketball. I'll flip that over so I don't see it. So anyways, there's a drag screen that you could potentially go into right here. I don't want you to, so in this situation, he doesn't go in the drag screen, he just rejects, he attacks Herter right here. The big's gonna have to help. Throw the ball back to the top, and now you're in scramble mode. This is something that you see often within the pros. So the reason we run a play is to get an open shot. This isn't necessarily a play. This technically is, it's not a set play, I'd say. And then you have triggers. What a trigger is like a domino falling. That's what I want you to think of it as. It's a domino falling, and as soon as the domino falls, another domino has to fall. And it's a chain reaction again and again and again, and more things are happening, right? So let's look at it this way. Trigger is the screen, right? The trigger is the screen. So he rejects the screen. 2 have to go to the ball. So Case and Wallace is down here. He passed the ball back up top. Now there's a rotation, and now the defense is in scramble mode. So what I was saying about scramble mode, people just running left and right, running all over, going here, going there, doing all this stuff. And now there's a bunch of different rotations in the corner. If you have not even if you have a very good basketball mind, but how would I say this? If you think ahead and you have an IQ, right now I already know who is open. I know who is open. Shea is open. As soon as this rotation happens, Shea is going to be open. If you reject the screen, 2 go with you, you swing the ball back to the guy who's popping at the top of the key, which in this case is Chet. Chet then swings the ball to, I forget the brother's name, but he was hooping in the playoffs, to 25 on the wing, and then Shea's going to be open in the corner. I think this is Sir Thompson instead of Amen. I think Sir, you can't guard. Let me look at his name because I don't want to butcher homeboy's name. Amen and Asur, yeah. Yeah, it's Asur. All right, so I know that Asura can't guard 2. They could have hypothetically, their Chet could have swung the ball over here to 25, and then he could have swung it to Shea in the corner, and now they have a mismatch, right? So he's back here. Big fella was guarding. This is Paul Reed. I want to say Paul Reed was initially guarding Chet, but now Paul Reed's on Shea, so Shea has a mismatch in the corner. Then also Chet has a mismatch because he's being guarded by a guard at the top of the key. So he goes. The big isn't necessarily, he doesn't need to help this much. You don't want to help from the same side corner that much. He sits way, way, way in, attracts 3, and then Shea just gets a practice shot in the corner. And another important thing I want you all to pay attention to, Shea stays still in the corner. Something I see in high school basketball way too much, even in college basketball sometimes, but it's mostly in high school basketball and middle school basketball. Y'all say you're open, and then you run in to try to get the ball. Shea, the whole entire time, held space. Look at the spacing. Look how you got Lou Dort in the corner. Let's look at, I want to learn this guy's name as well. OKC. Let's actually do this. Hoops. Hype. The NBA schedule came out today, and I think it's dope. I think the Sixers playing the Lakers on Christmas Day is going to be fire. It's going to be fire. What are y'all's thoughts on the schedule, the matchups you're looking forward to this season in the NBA? We got teams. So this is a website I use. My dad actually put me on this website. It's called Hoops Hype. And what Hoops Hype is, it's a website that you can use to be able to go over salaries. It's really news, right? You get news from different sources around the league in terms of what trades are happening and who's moving and who's shaking. This is like before Shams. But I still think Hoops Hype is great. I don't necessarily love Shams. But anyways, you see the rosters on here. You see the salary cap breakdowns and all these different things. You can get some good explanations on here as well. Check out free agency, news, all these different things. But I wanted to look at the Thunder. And it was, he's on like a very small contract as well. The GMs and the GM for the Thunder is doing an amazing job, man. Just in terms of some of the moves that he's made. I know they're, still, I want to say they're in the first apron. They're not in the second apron yet, I don't think. I think they might be in the second apron, but I know they're in the first apron for sure. They're going to make some moves before the season is over and move some guys before the trade deadline. But you look at a guy like AJ Mitchell, who I believe that is, AJ Mitchell, who was absolutely balling. He gave them so much from a production standpoint in last year's playoffs, and he's only on a $2.85 million contract, right? I want to say, let's look at AJ Mitchell. AJ Mitchell stats. AJ Mitchell's stats last year, man, he's playing 26 minutes a game. Granted, you look at Jalen Williams and he was injured. He's from Belgium. Oh, wow. Oh, interesting. Oh. It's still crazy to me when I see somebody born past 2000. My sister was born in 2000. But you look at AJ Mitchell, man, last year, he averaged 13 in the postseason. He gave you 15 points a game in the postseason last year. That's nuts, man. Gave you 15 points a game in the postseason, and he's on a $2.85 million contract. There's other guys who give you that much, and they're on, $150 million contracts. So you want to be able to get a bang for your buck in terms of the contracts that you have, the people that you have on salary. They have 3 two-way guys. I think they changed the rule. A two-way contract, for those of you who don't know, a two-way contract is essentially a contract that you sign if you're in the NBA G League. And you spend, when I was in the G League, and I was the vice president of the Players Union when I was in the G League, but the two-way contracts, you could spend a maximum, I want to say 45 days up with the first team, which in this case would be the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the rest of the time you have to spend with your other team, right? With the G League team. And when I was in the G League, which was like 5 years ago now, I was a VP 5 years ago of the union. It was 45 days max that you could spend, but these guys are, like $678,882. That's the most that you could hypothetically make, from my understanding. Yeah, two-way contract. I think that's the most you can hypothetically make. And even with the hypotheticals, you still have taxes that you're paying. So a player's making $300,000 to play professional basketball in the NBA, and people think it's like, oh wow, like that's amazing. Granted, $300,000 is a decent amount of change for sure. It definitely is. What I am saying though is a lot of people, you see the tickers on ESPN and players signing millions and millions of dollar contracts. You also have some guys in the league who are making $300,000, $200,000. And also I want to say this, it's at the team's discretion. Like the team doesn't have to give you all 45 days. So the days when you are with the G League team, you get paid as a G League player, and the days you are with the NBA team, you get paid as an NBA player. So you get the minimum for both. The standard contract when I was in the G League was $37,500, which is like nothing. $37,500 is really not a lot of money, especially when you're doing it for, I don't know how long. No, the G League season is probably like 7 months, 8 months. So you're getting $37,500 for 7 to 8 months. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. That's why like guys have to go overseas. Like me, when I was playing, I was in the G League. I think I did 7, 8 months there. Oh, and there's another thing in the G League as well. Before I start telling my story, there's another thing in the G League as well. There's 3 different types of contracts that you'll see in the G League. Okay, maybe 4. You can technically call it 4, but let's say three different types of contracts you see. You'll see a standard G League contract. I was on a standard G League contract when I was there for both seasons. A standard G League contract is $37,500. That's the one that I was just talking about. Then in addition to that, you have a Exhibit 10. And Exhibit 10 is the $37,500 plus a $50,000 bonus. And you get to go to training camp with the team. Okay? So the one time I was in training camp, I was with the Houston Rockets, but I wasn't on an Exhibit 10. An Exhibit 10 is signed when an NBA team wants bodies in training camp, and they'll see how you do in training camp, but you sign the contract knowing that you are going to get cut. Like you sign the E10 knowing that you're going to get released at some point in training camp. At the end, last cut, second to last cut, whatever it is, you're going to get released, okay? But when you get released, you have a guaranteed roster spot on the G League team. The stipulation about the Exhibit 10 contracts is that you have to spend the season up until, I want to say, Christmas or the new year. Let's say the season starts in October and I sign an Exhibit 10. I'm in training camp with the team in September. So I spend training camp with the Oklahoma City Thunder in September. I sign an Exhibit 10 with them. I stay with them through training camp. I get cut during training camp, and I have a guaranteed roster spot on their G League team. Okay? I go to their G League team. I play, but in order to get that $50,000 bonus, I have to stay until after Christmas. Okay, that same exact year. The reason why this is very important is because if you're signing an Exhibit 10, chances are you're getting opportunities to play overseas as well. Chances are. And the money you make overseas playing professional basketball is not taxed. You don't have to pay taxes. The team pays taxes for you. I'd say taxes do get paid. Like when I signed to play in Russia. And the amount that I signed for to play in Russia, that amount was deposited directly into my account. So like, let's say it was $65,000 to play in Russia, right? My first contract ever. $65,000 for the 10 months. Every single month I'd get wired on the first of the month or whatever, I'd get wired $6,500 exactly to the T, right? No cents, just exactly to the T. And that's the money that I had to spend. The team, before they paid me that, they took care of all the taxes so I could just walk free with the cash and I'm good to go. That's the difference between playing overseas and that's the difference between playing here in the States. That money, that $50,000, that bonus is going to be taxed. So I will say that bonus of $50,000 is going to be taxed. And then also, the team wants you to stay there in the G League so that you don't run off and go take a bigger bag overseas. Some guys do that, but you would have to guarantee that, like the overseas contracts, they get signed. I remember I signed in August when I went over to Russia. I signed in August to go play. There's different leagues and different timetables. Like the Puerto Rican league is a short league. I want to say it's like 3-4 months. That's in the off time of the NBA season. So like guys will go over there, play, and then come back to the States and play in the NBA. Not everybody will do that because like if you're on an NBA contract, it doesn't make sense for you to do that because the money's so good. Depending on what type of player you are or who you are. But you have different leagues all over the world. Like when I was in New Zealand, I want to say it was a 3-4 month contract, and it was over the summer when the NBA offseason is going on. So you can go over there, get film, and then get an opportunity to play overseas in another league that's a longer league, like a Russian league or I don't know, a German league or any team that plays in the Euro League. So there's a bunch of different things there, and a lot of interesting points about that. So the three different contracts you have: the standard contract, you have the Exhibit 10, and then you have the two-way contract. And the two-way contract I already explained. I think those are the only ones there. But you'll also have guys who are draft picks who will get sent down to the G League to go play. So let's say, like when I was with the Miami Heat in South Dakota, when I was with their G League team, we had a guy named KZ. We had different people, like Silva, shout out Chris Silva, who's a good friend of mine. He's over with Fenerbahce right now. I think he just won the Euro League, which is great. Good for Chris. He just signed a big contract over there, so good for him, man. Lours. But anyways, they weren't on two-way contracts. They were second-round draft picks or guys that got signed to play with the Miami Heat. I think Silva might have been on a two-way contract. But these guys are with the Miami Heat organization or with the first team, and they're not getting enough playing time with the first team, so the first team will send them down to the G League so that they get reps. Okay? And when they send them down to the G League so they can get reps, they get priority and they get more playing time over anybody who's there. So there's a lot of competition in the G League as well, and like it's not easy, bro. The G is difficult. Like if I just broke down the whole entire system for you pretty much. You're flying commercial. Now we have our own hotel rooms. Like we're playing right now, like I have my own hotel room, but before you had to share hotel rooms, and I mean it's tough when you're a 25, 30-year-old guy who's sharing a hotel room with a teammate when you're traveling. And I know these are first world problems, but I mean it's real, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that there's no money there's no TV deal, right, for the G League that is extremely lucrative the same way there's an NBA TV deal. You know, the NBA TV deal was signed, I want to say last year, the year before, and you got contracts that are jumping up like crazy. Guys are going to get paid $400, $500 million. I don't know $500 million, but I know $400 million. They're going to get paid that much. I think Luka, no, it might be 500. I think Luka could potentially sound like a $600 million contract, which is nuts. But yeah, like that's the world we live in. And we talk about women's basketball a lot too, and I think like I have my own thoughts about that. I don't think women's basketball players are ever going to get paid as much as men's basketball players. I don't think it makes sense for them to. Granted, I will say some are better. Some women's basketball games are more entertaining, and I might get hate for this, but it's fine. Some women's basketball games are a lot more entertaining to watch than men's basketball games. Like I've seen some women play, like here at the Unrivaled League. Shout out Unrivaled League and the management team there. It's absolutely fantastic. Like the stuff they got going on there, the money they're making, like it's great to see, and it's great to see like that player empowerment piece. I absolutely love that. You see the WNBA as well. I saw a take that Bill Simmons did. I like Bill Simmons a whole lot. I think he's dope. But Bill Simmons did a take where he was talking about how, what was he talking about? He was talking about like now in the WNBA, like they're the best player, the best group of players probably ever is in the WNBA right now. You got Olivia Miles, Caitlin Clark, Aja Wilson. I should have said Aja Wilson first. She's the GOAT. Like all these different figures who are absolutely are killing it. You got Nafisha, like you got so many amazing players, amazing teams. Like it's beautiful to watch. Absolutely beautiful to watch, and these women are killing it. I just don't see a world in which people are going to pay the same amount of money for women's basketball than they are men's basketball. Specifically WNBA versus the NBA. The WNBA versus the NBA. I don't see that at all. You can point to athletics, you can point to all these different things. I'm not saying that what I'll say is this: the reason the pay will never be equal is because the TV deals are probably never going to be equal. They're just not. And you look at a lot of people being up in arms and saying, we should pay the women's basketball players, the same as the men. I don't know if they've said same as the men. I don't agree with that. But they should be paid more. And I will say this, they should be paid more, but it's not, the way they are paid more is by their commissioner and their league working on a better TV deal. They need to work on a better TV deal. And now they have it, and players are getting paid more, which is great. But think about this, like last year, I think this was the case. I want to say, like, was it Chelsea Gray? Let's look this up together. Look at Chelsea Gray. Chelsea Gray. Yeah, Chelsea Gray, she made, I want to say, I don't know how much she made. I don't know where it would be, Chelsea Gray. Chelsea Gray unrivaled contract versus WNBA contract. There was an image that I saw it was like night and day. Yeah, this is nuts. Like, I went to the Unrivaled League and I watched these games, and Chelsea Gray, she won the Unrivaled one-on-one tournament, right? When she won that one-on-one tournament with Unrivaled, she earned $200,000. $200,000, okay? Her WNBA salary for that same season was less than $200,000, which is nuts. Absolutely nuts. So you're telling me she can win a one-on-one tournament in a league that only runs for the summer? Unrivaled's probably like 2-3 months, if that, 2 months. It's a 2-month league that takes place here in the States, and because of the sponsorship and the money they had behind it, league, she won a one-on-one tournament and won $200,000, which is more than her salary that she gets for playing in the WNBA. Let's look this up. What would it be? It would be freaking. Let's do Chelsea Gray. No, let's do this. Unrivaled Basketball League versus WNBA length. Season length. Yeah, the Unrivaled Basketball League season lasts approximately 8 to 9 weeks, running from early January to early March. No, it's not. I don't think it's those months. It might be, is it? It might be. Yeah, it might be. And then featuring 14-game regular season and then playoffs. In contrast, the WNBA season is about 4 to 5 months. Like, you're telling me for 8 to 9 weeks of work, Chelsea Gray made more than she did in 4 to 5 months of work? I mean, if I'm her, I would want to play in the Unrivaled League again and again and again. This is why this league is growing. And you look at salaries jumping in the WNBA, and they should grow. Like, they definitely should grow. Oh, let's look at this new WNBA TV deal. WNBA TV deal. That's fantastic. Good for them. The WNBA's landmark 11-year, $3.1 billion media rights deal begins with the 2026 season and runs through 2036. The multi-platform package partners including Disney, ABC, ESPN, Amazon Prime Video, ABC Universal, USA Network, CBS, Scripps, Ion, bringing in a record 216 games to national televised streaming. That's how they're going to make more money. They need to put the game in more places because people pay for eyes at the end of the day. Like, people pay for eyeballs because you can put a sponsor behind, you can put a sponsor behind, not even just a Caitlin Clark, but you can throw more money at a league if they're viewed by more people. That's the one way that I would see this and put that. But I still think this deal is kind of like wishy-washy, just because I think even the finals games are going to be broadcast on 2 different channels, which makes no sense. So they need a new commissioner. That's something I heard Bill Simmons say as well, and I agree, just because of what it is you're seeing in terms of how they're handling a lot of different like stuff that's going on, which I won't get into right now. But that's my take on that. Let's go back to. I know we're talking about a whole lot, and basketball just kind of takes me all over the place. Let's check the chat. All right, we got. We saw this one already, Shea in the corner. But like I was saying, look at the space. Look at everybody's spacing. Nobody's getting in one another's way. There's bad defense by the Pistons, in my opinion. They collapse way too much. Shea knocks down an open shot. Great spacing. One-on-one move. Let's look at this as well. Is it a one-on-one move? No, it's a reject. It's kind of the same action that Case and Wallace had done before. And I think maybe as a coaching staff, the Oklahoma City Thunder was telling their guards to look at the rejects off. And granted, Asur Thompson was one of the top defenders in the league. Let's look at that. Asur Thompson defense. No, let's look at NBA All Defensive Teams 2026. No, he didn't make a team. No, he did. Yeah, he was first team All Defense, which is crazy. He was first team All Defense. But no, he got rejected here. You can reject a ball screen when the defender's really excited. When the defender's really excited, you can reject the ball screen and use people's, I guess, emotions and excitement against them. She's great at drawing contact, get down. That was not a foul, bro. I don't think that was a foul. Yeah, he's just great at drawing contact. Yo, Lil NJ, what's going on, brother? This is called a horns action? No. Yes, I guess it is technically a horns action. Why it's a horns action is like Shea could have hypothetically gone both ways. He could have gone off of Jalen right here, and he could have gone off of Jared McCain right here, right? So both ways, this way or that way. He goes right, goes off Jared McCain. It's a tough one. I think with a read like this, no foul, he initiated the contact. Yeah, I agree. There was not a foul there. He's just really good at initiating that contact. But with this, anytime, not even anytime, but the way I would view this is in terms of reads. For you all as players, if you're coming off of the screen and you know you could shoot the ball well, and not even you just know you could shoot the ball well, it's you know you can shoot the ball well, and you know you're looking for a three. Not necessarily looking for a three. It's the best way to say this. I'm sorry, I'm on a fast right now, so I'm kind of like halfway here, halfway not here. But Asur Thompson goes under the screen. And if you know you're a three-point shooter, as soon as you see the guy who's guarding you go under a screen, you just let it fly. That's what Shea does. He knew it beforehand. And that can give you more confidence as well. Because if you know that the player, that your read is like as soon as they go under the screen, I'm just going to shoot the ball. you have more confidence going into it because it's not like this, oh, last minute, oh, I'm open. It's like they're under, all right, cool, let me go into it. You know, you're more confident. And I think in a situation like this, like it's so tough because Shea can go downhill extremely well, right? He can go downhill extremely well. So if he can go downhill extremely well, maybe the scouting report, and by the scouting report, I'm talking about the coaching staff who decided, I'll act like you all know what a scouting report is, but scouting report essentially is a piece of paper. This is funny. I'm not going to show this because I'm not going to show the whole thing. But this is the scouting report from a playoff series between the Miami Heat and the New York Knicks from 1999. This is the playoffs, and I think I was going through storage or something, and I found this, and it's pretty dope. You got names on here like Patrick Ewing. Shout out Patrick Ewing, Uncle Patrick. As a high school player, the defender should recognize that pretty easily. What do you mean? The defense should know to cover that open lane. Yeah, you got Kurt Thomas and Charlie Ward now in Houston and Latrell Sprewell, all these guys on the scouting report, which is funny. But with the scouting report, they should know that. I mean, maybe the scouting report for the team is something along the lines of like, okay, like we're gonna push Shea, we're gonna go under on ball screens on Shea at the top of the key. But I don't know what Shea shot from 3-point this past year. Let's say Shea Gilgeous-Alexander 3-point percentage. .6. The league average, by the way, for teams is 36. It's between 36 and 36.6. I think that was last year, 36 and 36.6. I looked this up yesterday, I want to say. But yeah, Shea is averaging above league average, so 1 in 3 3-pointers, more than 1 in 3 he's making. So in a situation like this, he's granted he's a good 3-point shooter. He's not, a dead-eye 3-point shooter, but he's good. Maybe the call was like to go under if the ball screen's really high. What open lane are you talking about? Obi, what open lane are you talking about? Think of a situation right here. Think about matchups. Shea is. I was talking about this in transition before. Like, you need to look for advantages. When I was breaking down film yesterday, and I talked about this today, like, you need to think about advantages. And in terms of advantages, look at who has the mismatch on the court. You got Asur all the way up here. Asur is late to get back on defense. I don't know if he's having a great defensive game or not. But anyways, Shea sees that Paul Reed is going to be the one guarding him. So he just goes downhill. Paul Reed's not used to. You have to think about what the defender is used to doing, right? Paul Reed may be a good interior defender. I don't know his defensive rating and some of those numbers and how he plays defensively, plus minus, stuff like that. But he's not used to guarding a guard in open transition right up here, the same way Asur Thompson would be used to guarding Shea. So in a situation like this, and we talked about advantages as well, there's 3 different types of advantages, 4 really. You have a horizontal advantage, which is essentially I'm quicker than you. You have a vertical advantage, which is essentially I can jump higher than you or I'm taller than you. And then you have a physical advantage, which is like I'm stronger than you. Then you have a shooting advantage as well, and that could affect the way people play you because you can shoot the ball and they have to press you up more in certain situations as opposed to others. Shea gets downhill, lay on a Paul Reed who's not used to it. And Shea goes when he notices the read. You see a transition right here. Shea's looking around. He's like, all right, cool, I'm going to go. Basketball is a game of reads. The more you learn how to make reads, the easier it's going to get for you. The defender is going to defend the 3-point off the screen. SGA has the option to drive. Help defenses need to know his teammate is going to leave that drive option open because he's choosing. Okay, let me just, if the defender is going to defend the 3-point line off of the screen, you're talking about, so there's two options on a ball screen. You can either go under it or you can go over it. Defending the 3 would mean going over it, right? So if the defender is going to defend the 3, SGA has the option to drive. Yeah, of course he has the option to drive. That means the 3-point. So help defense needs to read that cover. I think yes, but it's not even help defense. Like, you look at a situation like this technically is help defense to me. This is help, I guess. This guy is a help defender, but let's say this is all this is right here is the way that they would solve for this is switching. This is the one way that they would solve for this. They would switch. Here, Shea wouldn't be able to do that. If it's a drop coverage from right here, I wouldn't play a drop coverage if I'm guarding Jared McCain, because a drop coverage would mean that, you know, this guard is lower and he's stabbing at the ball and preventing Shea from driving until Assur has a chance to get back. And then from there, he's getting back to Jared McCain. So I would either switch this or I would show it. And what a show prevents people from getting downhill. So if you don't want Shea to get downhill, you want to show. In a situation like this, to prevent the 3, I would switch. They just don't switch. I think Assur thinks the ball screen is high enough, because what he's doing, he's staying close to the body, staying attached to his man. This guy right here, I need to know all these names. This guy right here is staying close to his man, and as a result, Assur just goes underneath. That's the coverage, that's what they worked on in practice. I could just tell by looking at this. This isn't this guy's responsibility. This isn't any of these guys, the back 3, it's not any of their responsibility. It's these 2 guys' responsibility to work this out. The one thing I would change, though, is I would either show, right, to make sure Shea goes here, but that would potentially create an advantage on Jared McCain if they're able to find a pass to get back to him. Or I would switch. But I don't think they want Jared McCain, or excuse me, Assur Thompson guarding Jared McCain. They want Assur Thompson guarding Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, because, I mean, Assur Thompson is first team all defense, right? So I think he just misreads it, gets a good contest. It's a tough shot by Shea. It is a very tough shot. Also look at time and score, right? You think about 35 to 43, 5 minutes and 34 seconds left. Maybe they went on a run. It's an 8-point game. Let's look at the play before that. No, they were pretty much always up. This is why I like watching the whole entire game, because you can see the flow of what all these players are thinking. Because let's say this is a heat check, right? This is a heat check of like, okay, like I literally just got a bucket on him before. Let me go ahead and attack, right? Yeah, we agree. We're on the same page there. Yeah, for sure. Communication solves a lot. Communication solves everything. No, you're good. What are you talking about? Like SGA cooks McCain all day in terms of like him being better than him? You think he's better than him? Of course he's better than him. SGA is the MVP of the league. I think you're referring to Thompson, maybe. But anyways, no, that's that. That's the way I would guard that. Communication saves it. Yeah, it's a tough one. I'd probably show to be able to keep the same defensive coverage. But like you look at Assur Thompson right here, that's a gamble. This is a bucket that he gives up. That's his fault. And he doesn't get back on defense. He jogs back. That's his fault. He gave up the bucket. That's why if you go for a steal, you have to get the ball. Tough bucket. So this may sound ridiculous, but this shot is easy. What I mean, this shot is easy. It's a tough shot, yes. But what I'm talking about this shot being easy is look at all the space and time that Shea has to be able to make this play. He has so much time to be able to make this play. Spacing. This is literally so Shea can go get a bucket. They probably got a mismatch or something right here, so Shea can go get a bucket. Maybe Oh boy, I think it's Beasley. Is that Malik Beasley? I don't think he played last season. No, it's not Malik Beasley. But anyways, this is set up in such a way where Shea has the time to be able to, go get a bucket and look at all the space on the court. Anytime I'm telling a player of mine or a player that I work with about how to make a read, when I'm reviewing their film, I just ask them to look at spacing on the court. Just look at where the room is to be able to make a play and go to where there is space, right? Shea pops him in the chest. This guy goes in. He goes in more towards. I need to start watching more basketball to learn all these names. That's on me. I take that one. I'll get better at that. Shea pushes him up the lane, essentially works him up the lane, and then turns around to the space where nobody else is. It's a tough shot, but all you need is a little bit of room in order to get this shot off. It's a tough one, but I still think it's easy. It's tough to make it easy. I'd say simple. I'd say simple is the appropriate word. Look how high this ball screen is. The reason you want to run a high ball screen is because when the ball screen's high, you have more options as an offensive player in order to pull up for three. You can still get downhill. Then also you put the defense in a weird situation because it's kind of weird to be prepared for a ball screen at half court. Usually in transition defense, what you're doing, you're getting back to the paint and then you're spreading out, right? So this isn't transition, but let's say look how low homeboy is. That's Holland the second. So Detroit, excuse me, Detroit, what they ended up doing in transition defense, you get all the way back to the paint, and then once you're in the paint, you then spread out because you got to protect the basket first, and then you want to spread out and go back to playing defense on your guy. This guy came back to the three-point line, but then he noticed the ball screen was all the way up top. Now he's hustling to get back. He's like, oh, shoot. He's showing this way. By the time he sees the screen, it's way too late. This is why you need to be yelling and be locked in. You would say push him right, push him right, push him right. You'd say strong. Some organizations will say strong. Some will say weak. Weak is generally left hand. No, weak is generally push him to the left. Weak is push him to the left. It's not generally. It is push him to the left. And then strong is push him right. You say that based off of a player's strong or weak hand, but I've played with teams where we still use a strong and weak call for, if a player's left-handed, strong is right and weak is left, because we just need to be able to communicate, and I need to make a call to tell my guy to push him this way, or my guard, let's say I'm a big, I need to tell my guard to push him this way or push him that way. So I'm calling strong, 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 right? They're in a show. He does get up to the show, but by that point, Holland's flat-footed and not even went too high. No, they didn't necessarily overplay. The defense didn't unnecessarily overplay on them. That's not a defensive error there in terms of him overplaying. The call is a show. Defense didn't go too high. The call is a show. That's what they're trying to run, because this is what the big is doing. He's doing a show. But he calls it late. And since he called it late, his guard didn't have an opportunity to be able to push him, to push Shea. Holland didn't have a chance to push Shea into the screen, right? Doesn't push him into the screen. He's playing flat-footed. Not necessarily flat-footed, but he's playing, he's square, right? He's square up on the ball. You're square up on the ball when you don't necessarily know what direction they're going in, but even I would argue that I still want to push a player and influence a player to go in a certain direction. Like with Shea, I'm going to influence him to go left unless I hear, if I'm a guard, I'm influencing Shea to go left the whole entire game. I'm looking at, granted, I'll look at shot charts and stuff like that and see okay, what are Shea's percentages going left versus going right? And I'll push him towards the lowest percentage shot. You look at the Western Conference Finals, I think we went to Game 7. I want to say I went to Game 7 this past year. You look at the Western Conference Finals, you see Shea, who, how much did Shea have in that last? I don't think it matters, but Shea probably had like 30 points in that last game, in that game 7 or game 6 or whatever it went to. And Shea, they ended up losing the game. He was balling. He played out of his mind. Still, I want to say the Spurs did a good defensive job against Shea or against the team altogether. Point being, you can't stop. You can't go out and stop a player. You can't go out and stop a great player. You can only influence them to take the lowest percentage shots that they usually take. And you see that based off of numbers and stats and all these different things. So I'm looking at Shea, and I'm like, okay, what are his lowest percentage shots? Let's say he's shooting 38.6% from 3, okay? I would break that down into catch and shoot threes versus threes off the dribble. And if I want to get even more granular, I'm saying threes off the dribble going right, threes off the dribble going left. And then if I want to get even more granular, I'm saying, okay, how many, I break it up into 3 categories. I'd say catch and shoot 3 percentage. I'd say his 3-point percentage off of 1 dribble. And I'd say his 3-point percentage off of 2 dribbles or more. So anytime he has to take 2 dribbles or more into a 3, going left and right. So that's 6 different shots right there. I don't have 6 fingers. Now I have 6 fingers. 6 different shots right there. And based off of those 6 different shots, I'm developing a scouting report as to, okay, what do I want him to do? If I'm a coach, I'm looking at those numbers and I'm like, okay, I want Shea to do these things, right? And then you have to, it's like a chess match because you think about forcing them to take tough, yes, take as many tough shots as possible. So it's a chess match at the end of the day. You have to look and understand, okay, like, who are the players that I'm okay beating me on the team, right? I want Shea, I want to focus on Shea and say, okay, I want him to take as many tough shots as possible. That's what we're going to do. There's other stats that you could potentially look at, like, I don't know. Okay, I don't know how to word this. I'd sit down with Claude. I'd sit down with Claude, an LLM, which is an AI tool. I'd sit down with Claude, and I'd be like, hey, Claude, I want you, here's stats, and I want you to tell me, not even stats, I would be like, who should I focus on stopping if I'm playing the Oklahoma City Thunder? I'm thinking about their 3 primary scorers. You have Jalen Williams, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and Chet Holmgren. I'm thinking about those guys. And I asked Claude, I'm like, okay, who needs to have a bad game in order for me to win? Like, if Chet plays well and Jalen Williams plays well and Shea plays bad, do they win? Or do they win more? Or is it Shea and Chet, if they play well and Jay Williams plays bad, do they win more? I try to figure out a scenario and like that I want to shoot for, and then I would compare that to like my eye test, just looking at the game and understanding, like watching films, like, okay, like I genuinely just want Shea to have a bad game. He's the MVP. He's the engine. I can't shut him down. I'll never try to shut him down. I'm just making him take the lowest percentage shots possible. And based off of what the stats say in terms of his lowest percentage shot, I build a scouting report around those things. And a lot of it is intuition. Like you connect the dots and you see how this team plays versus that team. And it's a lot of different things there. But yeah, that's that. But this is supposed to be a show. He just called it late. He wasn't there. And I think you have to have like I would call it like a hospital coverage. What I mean by a hospital coverage is like the way I would set it up is I would have it be SGA was the only effective player out of those 3. J-Dub, yeah, he was injured, and Chet did kind of disappear. He did in that series. But you look at I lost my train of thought. Let me get back to what I was saying. Remind me what I was saying, chat, please. The hospital coverage. So in terms of the hospital coverage, what I would have is if I'm not able to get up for a show, I'd be in a drop. I would play this like a drop, and I would tell them to push them right. I'd still call strong, but instead of being so high, I'd be in a drop, and I'd give up a pick and pop on Jalen Williams right there. I would do that. Not even give up the pick and pop, but allow Shea to pass him the ball back. I can recover, run Jalen Williams off the line, and force him to go into another action, whether it be a dribble handoff, drive to the basket, try to make a play, all these different things. That's what I would do. I would have a backup coverage. That's why I call it hospital coverage. I call it backup coverage that I would go to if I knew I couldn't get to it, because I'm not going to be perfect every single time, nor am I going to beat myself up. This is the way that I would play the game myself now if I were still playing. But since he rejects, and the thing y'all have to realize as well is if Shai rejects a screen, this doesn't just affect the two people who are in the action, the four people up here. This doesn't just affect these two people defensively, it affects these guys defensively as well. Because let's say they see a screen coming this way, these guys are naturally going to be in more, right? Like let's look at it's Herder on the backside. Okay, we got Herder on the backside. I don't know what just ended right now. I think one of the streams just ended. But we have Herder on, let me just check the stream. Give me a second. I don't know if we just ended on Instagram, but if we ended on Instagram, so be it. I think we're still live on Instagram. I'm not 100% sure. If you're on the chat on Instagram, shoot me a message. Would love to see if we're still live there. No, I don't know. I don't know if we're still live. I just got a message saying that like we weren't live anymore, but it happens. Anyways, let's get back to this. So if I look at what I was talking about is the help side defense, right? So you have help side defense, you have Herder here on the right side, and then you have, I'm not sure who this is. This may be Karis LeVert. You have both guys in here. Granted, there is a player down here who Herder is guarding. But since they come this way, they now have to go out back to this side to be present, and this affects rotations on, it affects a lot of different things, man. It affects a lot of different things. So you can't get rejected on a screen. It's pretty much the point there. You can't get rejected on a screen. Yeah, this is another one, man. Like when these screens are so high, Shai can get downhill and just create damage. Look at this. Screen is set. Caruso sets a great screen too. Caruso is a great teammate. I would love to play with Caruso in terms of playing with a guy who does all the right things. I would love to play with a guy like that. Great screen. As a result, Shai gets downhill, and yeah, you set these high screens, and Shai is essentially just going downhill. I think that's Isaiah Joe right there. But shit, that's not Isaiah Joe. Shai's going downhill, and it's like he's on a ski slope on a ramp, just attacking people. Shai gets to a spot, tough one. There was a crazy stat at the end of the season where it was like Shai, I think it was in one of the playoff series, like Shai didn't miss it was something along the lines of like Shai didn't miss a mid-range shot. He was like shooting 90%, or he went like 23 for 25 on mid-range shots. Didn't miss a mid-range shot in X amount of days or weeks. It's nuts. That's a ridiculous stat. Shai coming downhill, gets to a spot. This is another thing as well. If you're a basketball player and you're really working on your game, you have to have spots. You have to have spots that you get to every single time. Like rain or shine, you are going to get to that spot and you are going to get your shot off. Kobe had those spots. MJ had those spots. I've had those spots. I have those spots. Man, you have to have spots that come rain or shine. Okay, I'm going to go here at the elbow and shoot a shot. Or I'm going to go here at the top of the key and shoot my shot. I have a mid-range shot, to be quite honest with you. Something that doesn't necessarily have to be a mid-range shot, but don't know. I'd have to think about Steph Curry and like where his shots are. He could shoot pretty much anywhere on the court. Steph can create his own shot for sure. I'm just trying to think. I don't know of like a patented shot that Steph has the same way. Like there's a mid-range jumper that Shea can get to on a consistent basis, or I'd had a turnaround jumper over my right shoulder, or a hook going middle. Those are like my two shots that I'm getting to, and you can't stop both. You can take away one, and then I'm going to go to the other one. I'll break it down some of my own film after this as well. But you look at Shea, he gets to his spots at the elbows. He's like, I'm going to heat these elbows up. As soon as I get to the elbow, I'm going to shoot this ball. I don't care. And you just get reps there again and again. You get used to shooting those shots. Like Shea doesn't shoot the same shots that Jokic does. He shoots the shots that Shea does. Yeah, it's like the general area. Shea does it again. Heats his spot up. He's giving Holland buckets. Holland the second. Look at the spacing as well. I'm living with that, to be quite honest with you. That's a tough bucket from Shea, but I'm living with that. You see, he does a great job. I'm not going to like even knock Holland. Like he does a great job. Holland the second does a great job preventing Shea from getting right. Also, he doesn't want him to go right, because if he goes right, the whole middle of the defense collapses. It's like that first play that we saw with Shea. When when Chet got to the middle of the paint, everybody collapsed, and he passed the ball out to Shea and get that bucket. That was at the beginning of this film breakdown. Like with Shea, we want to prevent people. Let me speak English. We want to prevent people from getting to the center of the court, because when they get in the center of the court, the whole defense has to collapse, and somebody's more than likely going to be open. So he prevents him from getting right. He goes left, and Shea gets to that step back and creates a little bit of space. Holland has a great contest. Like I'm not mad at that. He makes Shea shoot a tough shot. You look at this as well. They keep pushing Shea left. It's just Shea gets downhill, and like Shea does a really good job of. Brunson does this as well. Brunson and Shea do this very well. They're good at getting people off balance and doing awkward things. They mess up people's timing all the time. It's a little push off, but that's legal. Yeah, I don't know. They're not gonna call that. Great contest. You don't call that foul. Shea gets to a spot, right? The elbows. I want to say that the last three or four shots have been at the elbow. This general area that we talked about, him getting to that spot. If we saw a shot chart from this game, he just heated up this area right here. You don't have to be, in order to be unstoppable, Kobe said this, in order to be unstoppable, you have to first be predictable. Be predictable in terms of where you're going. And then from there, we can build, we can get you unstoppable. This is what I tell the players I work with as well. All the players in our program, in order to be unstoppable, you have to first be predictable. Look, left again. Shea is the MVP of the league, and he's going left to that elbow spot again and again and again. Now, when he got to the elbow spot to do that same exact move, you got three people around him. I wouldn't same side help out the corner. I wouldn't do that. It's a bad defensive rotation. He gets there. I think that's Ennis. Ennis eventually gets there, and J-Dub hits a shot in the corner. But yeah. This is a drop coverage, by the way. So drop coverage, you see how Paul Reed is stabbing and holding up until Ennis gets back. Now he's back. It's on the guard to tell the big, hey, I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Right? Paul Reed does a great job. He stays. I think Ennis just needs to run back. See how Ennis is kind of like, he's kind of herky-jerky to get back. He does that little step. I would run to get back. and go to Shea's right hip and kind of push him left. Tough shot, contest shot. You have to live with these buckets. You have to live with these buckets. Because you got to go back down and they have to guard you on the other end. It's a percentages game, man. You're not going to win every single time. But get your shots up. Get your shots up. And even defensively, push people to just look at tendencies, man. Basketball's not the most complicated thing in the world. It's actually really simple. I just don't think I don't think enough people watch film. Same side corner help. Let's stay disciplined. How many times is this going to happen if you're the Karis LeVert had him. 24, I forget his name. He was balling his past year too. He didn't need to help out the corner. He didn't need to help out the corner. Dale Boca. Boca Juniors just scored. Let me actually set this up. I'll be right back. Let's see how we do with this. I'm just gonna set up another angle so I can stream on my phone. This good old award I have here. I put this away. I put this away. Dale Boca, 2-1, dale. Dale Boca. Let me get this bad boy going. I'm seeing this post as well. I'm actually going to copy and open up on another window that I want to go over. Copy link. Let's do this right here. Some of these pages on Instagram I don't love in terms of some of the stuff they share, but let's go ahead and set this up. Yeah, because I don't know if I'm live on IG right now. And I want to be live on IG. All right, let's get back to this. Just so I can see the chat live. All right, we are good to go. Okay. If I go back to what it is we see here with Shea, so the same side corner help, it's just not great. If you're just tuning in right now on Lois, what's going on? If you're just tuning in right now on Instagram, go over to my YouTube channel, Trey Mourning 33. I'm live there. I'm doing a full film breakdown, answering questions, all these different things. So I'll see you all over there. Trey Mourning 33 on YouTube. But no, you think about principles, you think about defensive principles. They ended up blowing this game, but we can point to a bunch of different things that we ended up. What's going on, everybody who's joining? You can point to a bunch of different things on the Detroit side of things that they're not doing well Granted, you have to live with these shots. You live with those shots. That's that. But excuse me. What I will say, stuff like the same side corner help. Like you can't give up a same side corner help. Excuse me, to bucket that easily. The corner 3-pointers, by the way, if you look at the anatomy of a basketball court and how the 3-point line is set up, the shortest 3-pointer is the corner 3-pointer. So a lot of times you'll see players shoot that corner 3 because it's the Houston Rockets, let's say. Houston Rockets with James Harden and all those guys, they would specifically hire guys who would shoot that corner 3 ball well. You look at a PJ Tucker, you look at a Trevor Ariza, you look at a Daniel House, you look at all these guys and they're shooting these corner 3 ball extremely well, right? That's their job. That's literally the only reason why. Not the only reason why, because they could definitely play defense. I'm not going to say that's the only reason why. Definitely not. When I was in camp with the Rockets, James Harden was still there. And I was doing a shooting drill with some of the Rockets coaches. And I shot the ball out of the corners. I shot the ball out of I want to say like the slot. So there's 7 different spots on the court, and I'm showing it right now. You have the corners. You have, this is what we even call the break. You could either say the break or the nipple. Some people call it the nipple. So you have the corner. You have the break right here. You have the wing. You have the top of the key, and then you have the same thing on the other side. So you have the wing, you have the break, and then you have the corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, those are the 7 different shots that you'll see on the 3-pointer. So you can either shoot 7 spots if you're training for 3-pointers, or you could shoot 5 spots. You can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, corner, wing, top, corner, wing, 5 different spots. Okay. When I was with the Rockets, something that you saw is that we did this shooting drill, and I was with the coaches. We did this shooting drill, and I shot from the corners. I shot from the break. I went up to the wing, and they told me, no, like, we don't want you on the wing shooting, and we don't want you at the top of the key. Granted, there were drills that I did where I hit 20-something threes in a row, but they didn't want me shooting the wings or the top because they called that Harden Island. That was a space where it was dedicated to James Harden. That was his playground, right? He'd get the ISOs and mix and match and do whatever he had to do at the top of the key. So that was Harden Island. So I would only shoot corners and the breaks, and then corners and breaks on both sides, and those are the 2 different shots that I would go back to again and again and again, and just work on those things. So it's interesting, man. But you look at some of the mistakes, the going for screens, and granted, I'm not saying the defensive side of the ball necessarily with OKC and some of the mistakes that they're making, but if you do look at the mistakes that the Pistons are making, you're pointing to unforced errors like defensive, not even just the rotation. The rotations they happen, right? They are mistakes, technically, they happen. I do point to helping out the corner. Like, if the only thing we solved for was helping out the corner, there's a chance that we would have won this game. I know it's tough to beat the reigning champs on the road. They lost in OT. I don't want to watch a live stream of these guys. But they lost in OT. It's a pretty tight game. We could break down Cooper's 51 now. But if you're in the chat and you have questions, just go ahead and drop the questions. And we will. Let's look at Cooper's 51. I'll go over this one. This is probably going to be a decent amount of time. Let's check this bad boy out. Again, if you're just now joining, go ahead and head over to my YouTube. I'm doing a live stream of some film right now. I'm breaking down Cooper Flag's 51-point game. respond in the chat here, but I'll see it specifically if you go over to YouTube. Go to YouTube, Kick, Twitch, live on all platforms, and watch the live stream there. All right, so this is something we call baseline drive, baseline drift. So anytime, technically this isn't a baseline drive, but Coop does eventually get to the baseline. Anytime somebody drives, there has to be somebody in the corner. There has to be somebody in the corner. It is a must. You have to be in the corner because you need to give the guy an outlet. So I think this is Najee. Najee, I played against him when he was at Xavier. So Najee drives, I forget his last name. Najee Wright? I think I want to say Najee. You have Cooper Flag in the corner, catch and shoot, knock down, holds a space, catch and shoot shot. And you see the shots that I was talking about before. This technically isn't the break, like he doesn't catch it all the way at the break, but it's kind of in between the corner and the break where he catches it. So you just want to work on catching and shooting in those spots in a situation like that. And I'm a big believer that the pass, you should work on passes from a bunch of different ways, but generally speaking, the only direction that you're going to see a pass from, you're going to see a pass from the baseline if you're catching the corner. You're going to see a pass from up top if you catch in the corner. So the pass is going to come from here, and the pass is going to come from the top. If you train where you catch the pass from as well, you're able to really just lock it in and I guess be more specific about, different, not even the reads, but I don't know, it's just a proper way of training because it's game-like shots. It's just one-on-one basketball. Coop's got long arms, long legs. And he just goes at him. I think this is just like, I'm better than you type thing. Not even I'm better than you, this is like, I want to go at you type thing. I can't believe they were saying he wasn't going to be that good. He was going to be a role player. That's wild, bro. Granted, did I think Cooper Flag was going to be this good? I don't know. I wasn't thinking about it that much, but just to see the way he played against Team USA when they were in practice and the stuff he did, bro, like he's like that, bro. He's like that. You need a floater. Every basketball player needs a floater. You need to be able to float the ball into the basket. Without a doubt, you need to be able to float the ball in the basket. From mid-range to, you need to be able to float the ball in the basket. Like, you have to be able to. What I would work on, and this is something that we work on within the program with all the players, the shooting drills that we have them do, we have them work from the inside out. So we do Mikan drills. And what a Mikan drill is you have the right hand layup off of the left foot, left hand layup off the right foot. It's like a dance. You go like this, this, and this, all being underneath the basket. You reverse it, you use the same footwork, and then you do right, right, left, left. So right, right, left, left. What I mean by right, right, left, left is you jump off your right foot and finish with your right hand. You jump off your left foot and finish with your left hand. And then you turn around and do those same exact things. That's 8 different finishes right there. You can even do certain spins and add English on it if you want to. I'm not a big fan of jelly. I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Sometimes you can, but it really is just a reverse layup this way. So I don't necessarily want you to work on that. You don't necessarily need to. At least at my height, I'm 6'9". Even if you're not my height, I don't think you need to, necessarily work on those moves. In addition to that, once we do that, we step away from the basket. And yes, you could shoot hooks, but I want you practicing floaters. Like, I think that's so important from that range. Players need to work on floaters, whether you're a big, whether you're a guard, because if you catch the ball around the basket, how many times as a player do you ever catch the ball in like a weird spot, like that in-between spot, right? You catch it in the spot where you're like, okay, I am not far enough to shoot a jumper, and I'm not close enough to lay it in. Floater, all day long, floater. One of my favorite shots is a push shot. Anytime I would catch the ball in here, just a push shot. right hand push shot to the basket. You don't necessarily need a left hand push shot. I mean, Kyrie hit that one left hand floater. I do have a left hand and I can finish with my left hand. And one of the other shots that I would do in addition to the floaters, I would work on hooks around the charge circle essentially. Work on hooks, right hand, left hand. Take a little bit of a step back, and then I'm shooting floaters. So you got the Micans, you got hooks, right? Go all the way around the charge circle right here. Go all the way around the charge circle, and you're shooting right hand, go in one direction, then you turn around and come back the other direction, and you're shooting left hand. Maybe 5 different spots, right? So you got 5, and then 5 coming back, and then you do that maybe for 2 trips or 3 trips, 2-3 trips. You get 15 shots each with your right and 15 shots each with your left. I like that. And then in addition to that, you take a step back, and now you're shooting floaters. So float from 2 steps or a step back from the charge circle, and this is where Coop is right now. And I would do different pickups. I'd start doing pickups now with the floats. So you have a right hand pound pickup shot, you have a left hand pound pickup shot, you have a cross pickup shot, you have a cross pickup shot, you have a between pickup shot, behind pickup shot, behind pickup shot. And I think that's pretty much it. You got cross, between, behind. So I think that would be 8 shots, right? And I do 8 shots from 5 different spots. That's 40 right there. So I've done the Micans, I've done the hooks, and I've done push shots, the floats from all those different places. And I can even round it up to 10, and I can have the person I'm doing the drill with just pass me the ball. And I'll catch the ball and shoot it twice with a push shot, doing it that way. I would work on my left potentially, but I think like for sake of, you could do it. You could definitely work on your left. I think it would be like fire to work on your left from there. You could do 100 shots. You could do 100 shots from push shots, 50 right, 50 left, and then you have your hook shots. What I would do, I'd do 15 each way, so 30. So 5, 5, 5, that's 15, and then come back with the left, that's 30. So you got 130 shots right there. In addition to the 130 shots, what I would do is Micans, and for the Micans, I would do 20 of each direction. So that's 80 shots right there. You have straight on, right hand, left foot, left hand, right foot. You do that for 20 reps, right? Or 20 reps in a row. I try my best to do it in a row. Then you flip around and do that. That's another 20. And then you do right, left, left. That's 20, and then flip it around again, and that's another 20. So you have 80 there. You're doing 80. You're doing 80 plus 30. That's 110. Plus the 100. That's 210. That's 210 shots right there just from finishing. That's what I would do. I would do. Dale Boca. They just scored again. I would do that. That's a 210 shots that you can get in right there, all just from finishing around the basket. Then from there, I'm working on my jumper. I'm just shooting jumpers again and again and again. I'm just shooting my jumper. That's the way that I would work on finishing. And if you do that 5 days a week on a continuous basis, and you do the pickups and all that stuff, bro, you're gonna be a monster. You're gonna be a monster. You're gonna be so efficient around the rim. So efficient. It's 200 shots. That's it. 200 shots made. And then you could start working on your mid ranges, right? So I wouldn't do pull up jumpers yet, to be quite honest with you. I would just do mid range from like right here, right inside the NBA line. And what I would do there, I would do 3 shots made. I would do catch and shoot 3 shots. I would do the same pickups, 3 shots each. So you got pound right pickup, pound left pickup. I do between pickup, behind, so that's 8. And then you got pound, between, behind. Yeah, pound, between, behind, cross, 4. And then your catch and shoot, that's 5. I would do, yeah, that's 30 shots from each spot. That's 30 shots from each spot because you have the left side and then you have the right side. Is that correct? Yeah. Left side and right side in terms of the pound and things like that. So 30 shots from 5 spots. That's 210 right there. Plus 30, 30. You could even do 7 spots from there if you really want to be a dog. So I want to calculate this total because I think it'd be really, really helpful to understand what this total is. So it would be, let's use this pen. So you got 210 from the inside. You got 7 spots from the 2s. And then you have 30 from the 7 spots. That's another 210. Right? That's another 210. And then in addition to that, you have your 3-pointers. And that's 7 spots as well. What I would do from there is I would do, damn, that's a whole nother ball game in terms of the 3-pointers and what it is that I would do there. But if you just want to work on around the rim and mid-range, I would do that. And I would make sure to land on 2 feet again and again and again, like play off of 2 feet. Because when you play off of 2 feet, and a lot of people don't understand this, when you play off of 2 feet, what ends up happening is you're able to go right and you're also able to go left. And you have 4 pivots. There's only 4 pivots that you can do in basketball. Go here, land on 2, step right. Go here, land on 2, step left. Cross step, land on 2, cross step with your right over your left, and then cross step left over your right. 4 pivots. But if you step in left, right, I can only do a cross step or I can go right this way, right? So if you land on 2, you give yourself all those options. Then you're extremely agile and you can move and you can make all these decisions and things like that. So what I would do the 210 close, the 210 mid, and then from 3, I would shoot from 7 spots. And from these 7 spots, what I would do, I'd probably do 5, let's say 5 catch and shoot. 5 catch and shoot. Damn, that's tough. I do 5 catch and shoot. I do 5 shot fake side step. Right, 5 shot fake side step left. So I do that. Yeah, it's 15 shots from 7 different spots. What's the math on that? That's 105. So I think, Paul, leave me alone, dude. I think I think that, yeah, it's 105. So I would just shoot from, I think I would do that from 3. I think that's the way that I would approach it from 3. I wouldn't do probably more than that. You could do pull-up jumpers as well. You could do those shots from 3, doing those 5. And then we could start doing freaking, I don't know if I would do pull-up jumpers. I think pull-up jumpers help, but I want to like stay on the 3-point line. I think that's what I would do just for right now. So 105 threes. And that's pretty much stationary threes. And then if you really want to add more, I do pull downs, which is like, or shakedown. I don't know if it would be a shakedown. Some people call it a shakedown. But essentially you'd start at the break and you'd run down to the corner and catch that shot. And you get the pass from up top. So that would be that. And then you could do rundowns from the top. Yeah, just rundowns, I guess. Run down from here, run down from here, run down. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. I'd only do 5 spots on the rundowns. I'd do 5 makes each. Here, 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 corner, and then corner. So 5 spots. So in total, that's another 35. 210, 210, 420, plus the 105, that is 525, plus another 35, that is 560, So honestly, man, like if you do those 560 shots a day, I know it's going to take time to do that, but man, if you could figure out a way to do that workout alone for the 560 shots, you'll be an absolute monster just in terms of your efficiency and how you finish and all those different things. You'll be a beast, right? And that's just the shooting. I would start off with, I'll send that to my community. I'd start off with ball handling. You have to do the ball handling drills first. I do the ball handling drills first, and then ball handling. I'm just writing this down. And all of this is based off of the workout that I've given the players that I work with in our community. So ball handling would be first, and then I go into, I forgot what's on that workout. Not everything, but I forgot the order of some of those different things. But man, ball handling first, and then go into this shooting, and then work on defensive footwork as well. I think that's extremely important. And then defense, footwork. Man, if you do that, I'm telling you, your efficiency would go through the roof. If you do that in high school, if you just find a way to do that in high school, 5 days a week, you'll be an absolute dog. Like if you work on those shots, oh my goodness. And then after you do those shots, what I would do tired is I would do this potentially before, no, I do this maybe after the defensive footwork just to create a little break. I would do your go-to shot, right? I do my go-to shot. So hooks over the right shoulder or turnaround jumper, I do 20 of my go-to shots, 20 reps of that. I go turn around over my right shoulder or hook over my left. I go to those shots again and again. And then, what else? And then if I catch the ball on the left side, what I would do is I would end up going to turn around over my right shoulder going middle, or a hook over my left shoulder going this way. Like I do that maybe for 7 reps each way. So in total, 28 shots. 28 shots. Man, if you do that on a continuous basis again and again, all that is, it's not even 600 shots. Not even 600 shots at all. This is 528 shots that you're making. 588 shots that you're making. And if you do this on a continuous basis, you'll be an absolute animal. You'll be an absolute dog. Like, yeah, you can work on pick and pops and stuff like that. That's like certain plays if you know that you're going to be in those actions again and again. But a pick and pop is a catch and shoot 3. Pick and pop is a catch and shoot 3. You just got your feet under you. That's pretty much it. But man, if y'all do this, this is gold. This is gold. Let's go back to Coop and see what Coop is talking about. What time is it right now? 7:38. I'll hop off of here at like 8. Yeah, man, this money, that workout, I love that. I love that we just broke that down. Gets to the pull-up, gets to a spot. And once you do these shots again and again, like if you do all 588 of those on a continuous basis, what's eventually going to happen is like you just start playing basketball and start making reads. And other stuff is going to be really, really comfortable to you. Get up on that rim. Coop is a freak athlete. I could break down more of that in terms of like Coop seeing a mismatch and all that. But yeah, I actually might call it a day. I'll stay on until 8. I'll stay on until 8. Will I? I don't know. I actually might call it a day. I will call it a day. But sweet, we are good in terms of that film breakdown. I got a lot of value in terms of um, understanding what to look for, what not to look for, making certain reads. We broke down Shea, some of the things he sees. We talked about how to work on your game as well, and the ball handling, the shots, the defensive footwork, your go-to shot, things like that. All that is extremely important. If you do that on a continuous basis, and then obviously you got to work on rebounding. That's another thing that people don't talk about enough. You can work on rebounding in terms of catching the ball with two hands, one hand, or left, right, right, left, both hands. Landing on 1 foot, landing on 2 feet, landing on. There's a bunch of different things you can do. Rebounding, and then I do passing too. I do passing for reps. So the same exact way I do right hand passes, left hand passes, different things like that. And then this is like the basic workout that I would do on a regular basis. And then in addition to that, you can work with your skill guy. And when you work with your skill guy or girl, they're telling you to, like focus on making this read in this situation. And you can do all that, but just by watching film. Like I do want you could still have skill trainers and things like that, but if you're just working on fundamentals and you understand those things again and again, you're going to be an unstoppable force. You can make so many different reads, and then all it is just putting you in a certain situation to be able to make those reads against certain defensive coverages. But like if you watch the film, you're going to understand what to work on, why to work on it, when to work on it, all these different things. So no, I love it. I think we covered a whole lot today. Appreciate y'all tuning in, whether you tuned in on YouTube, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, the whole nine, X, wherever you tuned in from. If you're on IG watching live right now, appreciate y'all tuning in. I will be back again for another breakdown on Thursday, and then tomorrow I'll probably go on live as well. We have a parent call tomorrow night in the community, and I might share some things tomorrow. Also, we're going live with Katino Mobley on Thursday as well. So please check that out, tap in, tune in. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to talk about his professional career, some of the things he's learned, some of the things he's doing now as a life coach. And dude's a hooper. He's a hoop head, NBA veteran. He's achieved a whole lot in the game. And I look forward to sitting down with him. So I'm going to sign off on IG right now. Boom, that's done. And then we're going to sign off now on the other platforms too. But I appreciate y'all. Peace.